This week I'm actually away from home. I'm on the opposite side of the country in beautiful Yorkshire for a very special reason. My partner's mum is getting married, so she's part of the ceremony, and I'm hopefully going to be taking some photos. However, since though I'm traveling and away from home and had to bring a bunch of equipment with me, I thought it'd be fun to do a what's in my camera bag video while I'm here, because most of the equipment that I own is a lot more budget friendly or realistic compared to other creators. So jumping straight in with the actual bag that I use to carry all of my equipment, and it is this, well, budget messenger bag that I basically picked up off Amazon. I think it cost me like 40, 50 pounds or so for this, and as you can see, it looks pretty nice. It's got a whole bunch of like pockets and zips, and you can store like your camera equipment inside and stuff like that. I opted for a cheap camera bag like this one, mostly because one, obviously I can't afford the really expensive stuff, and two, the backpack ones don't really suit my style of shooting. Don't get me wrong, backpack style bags are pretty great, especially if you're someone that has to carry a lot of equipment with you or you're traveling all around the world, because you can have a lot of stuff in those bags. But for me personally, my equipment is a lot more minimal, and also I need ease of access to it, especially when I used to shoot a lot more weddings and stuff, because this type of bag is super easy to access all your equipment. You just spin it around, open this flap, and then you can basically just grab like lenses or any other type of equipment you need and then put it away quickly and then close it again without taking any of it off. This also looks a little bit more formal and less camera baggy, which means that when I'm traveling or I'm in different places, people won't instantly go, that's an expensive camera bag, I'm gonna try and mug him or steal stuff from him. Instead, it looks like a just standard kind of everyday bag that anyone might have. Next up, let's talk about the cameras I use to shoot my content. And yes, I said cameras because I have two different cameras to shoot the videos that I do. But if you're someone who just shoots YouTube videos or TikToks or streams to Twitch or whatever, then having one camera is probably more than good enough for what you need. Anyway, the first camera of which is the one that you're seeing me on right now, and this is actually the cheaper of the two cameras and the one that I weirdly use the most because of the features that it has. But this is the Sony a6600. It's a few years old now, about 5 years old, but it shoots 4K, it's got good slow motion, decent battery life, a nice flip screen, can input microphones and stuff. Great camera. And the second camera that I actually use to shoot all of my content is technically the better of the two cameras. It costs more, it's got a bigger sensor and stuff, and it is the Sony a7 III, which I love. It's been great. I've shot far too many weddings and stuff on this, and it's great for photography as well because it has this like massive sensor, which you can kind of see here. But the reason I don't use this one as my main A camera for shooting content is the fact that, well, the screen only goes up to here, which is fine if I'm like behind the camera and I'm shooting other people or products or B-roll or whatever. But if I want to shoot myself, it's very difficult to actually see what's going on. So I normally reserve this camera for B-roll purposes. I can definitely hear some of you saying that you can't afford all this fancy, expensive equipment and that's why your content doesn't look good or will never look good. And as I said earlier on, if you know how to use what you have, and that includes a phone, your content can still look good. You don't need the highest end, most expensive professional cameras to have good looking content. You just need to learn about lighting, audio, and how to actually tell a story with like good framing and composition and stuff. Speaking of cameras though, obviously they have the cameras themselves, which I love to use, but there's a couple of accessories that I also like to use with my cameras to improve the usability. The first of which is this L bracket, which I got from Small Rig, and I can't remember how much it was. It's probably like another 30, 40 pounds or so, which does seem a lot for this type of piece of metal, but it allows me to mount it to my cameras, and then I can actually attach base plates to my tripod on the bottom and on the side, so it's easy for me to either shoot horizontally or vertically depending on the type of content that I want to make. The second accessory I'd like to use with my actual cameras is actually this thing here, and it is a Peak Design wrist strap. This effectively allows me to attach it to my camera via these little like red loop things which hook into the side. So if you are someone that travels a lot or shoots outside, or if you're just clumsy like me, it's a good idea to get a wrist strap like this, or maybe even a neck strap, so that you can kind of just make sure that your equipment is protected. Let's quickly talk about audio. Obviously, by now, if you've been creating content for any amount of time, you should know that audio quality matters more than video quality, because if someone's watching your videos and it sounds terrible, they're more than likely just gonna turn off. When it comes to recording my content, especially when I'm away from my desk and doing stuff either outside or away from home or whatever, I use two different types of microphones. The first of which is this one, which is the one I've been using for the majority of, well, all of this video so far, and it is the Rode Wireless Pro. And this microphone has honestly been the best wireless microphone I've used ever. It's super easy to set up, sounds great, it's almost impossible to distort, and obviously comes with like a charging case, so you never have to worry about stuff running out of battery. One of the main reasons I like these types of microphones so much is just because of how versatile they are for different types of content. They're perfect for casual content, where they're making like TikToks, YouTube videos, stuff like that, where you're just hand holding your microphone like this, or you just want to have hands-free and move around and still sound relatively decent even if you are far away from the camera. If you want to be a little bit more professional, these microphones actually have, I don't know if you can see here, but on top you have an input for an actual lapel microphone, which means that you can actually take any type of lapel, which the Rode Wireless Pro actually comes with some included. You can plug your microphones into your wireless microphone and then run it up your shirt or hide it behind things and have things look a little bit more professional. When I'm not using my wireless microphones for my content, the second type of microphone I like to use is actually this one here, which is actually an on-camera shotgun microphone. This one specifically is a 3.5mm one, just plugged directly into my camera, and it's the Rode Video Micro, which costs around 50 to 80 pounds or so, and as you can hear, actually sounds pretty great, even though it's about an arm's length away from me right now. But these types of microphones are fantastic for just getting scratch audio just like straight into the camera, so that you can sync up stuff later on with higher quality microphones, or just on the fly audio when you don't really care that much about the quality, you're just more bothered about getting something. This is the first type of microphone I would normally advise people to get, because it's affordable and easier to use than like most wireless microphones and stuff like that, because there's less stuff to kind of go wrong. Unfortunately, after shooting that previous scene, both myself and my partner ended up being ill while I was away. I assume we caught something at the wedding because we were surrounded by children, and those things are just walking petri dishes. So I'm going to be finishing this video at home instead. Next up, let's talk about lenses. Obviously, if you're someone that doesn't have a lot of money and you're just looking for a single one and done everything kind of lens, the one that I have in the camera right now, the Sigma 60mm f1.4, is going to be great for live streaming, YouTube videos, maybe a bit of vlogging, and even like B-roll and stuff. And if you're just getting started in like filmmaking or just content creation, this lens will be a great choice for you. However, I do a lot more professional stuff and need different lenses for different reasons. So when I'm traveling or away from home, I personally use these three lenses, starting with this one, which is actually my wide angle lens, and it is the Sony 11mm f1.8. This type of lens is great for getting like establishing shots of places or shooting in small locations, but the main reason I own this 11mm lens is basically just to vlog with, because it's small, it's light, it's easy to carry around, and the fact that it's wide with the f1.8 lens means I can vlog like this while still getting like decent blurry backgrounds. The second lens is a little bit more telephoto, a bit more zoomed in, and it is the Sony 55mm f1.8, and I use this one for like portraits, B-roll, anything where I want a nice cinematic blurry background. This lens is pretty great, and also really sharp and good in low light. And my third and final lens in my travel camera setup is actually this lens right here, which is the cheapest of all of them, the Samyang 35mm f2.8. And this lens isn't great, but I use it for a very specific reason. This lens costs like £200 or so, made of plastic, it's super light, and honestly, the image quality from it is good enough, so it makes a decent street photography, travel, throwaway, everyday kind of lens. It makes a nice compact, small setup that's easy to carry around with me no matter where I go, and 35mm lenses are actually pretty great for a lot of things. They're wide enough to get like landscapes or locations, but they're also just enough telephoto to get a decent portrait. So overall, the only reason I have this is just so I can kind of carry it with me when I visit new places or go somewhere interesting. And my other lenses, like this 11mm or the 55, are used for slightly more professional things. If you've ever watched any of my content before and you've wondered how do I get that dreamy, soft, cinematic look to my footage, it's mostly to do with the filters that I use on my lenses, and more specifically the one I'm using right now is the Tiffin Black Pro Mist, and you can kind of see how much that changes when I take it off. But this Basically, this is a diffusion filter. It softens your image so it makes your skin look softer. It makes people look that little bit better, more dreamy. And I used to use this a lot for shooting like weddings and stuff. However, when I'm traveling, I make it a little bit easier on myself, and I use a slightly cheaper filter that kind of combines everything together. And this is the K&F Concept Black Mist Filter and Variable ND. So as you can see, I can put this on my lens instead, and it changes the exposure, while at the same time, it also still has that like bloomy effect and softens my image overall. So it still looks kind of cinematic, just not quite as good as using the dedicated Tiffin Black Pro Mist on my lenses. If you ask me, I think monopods are criminally underrated when it comes to filmmaking and photography equipment, because most people will obviously opt for like a gimbal instead, or a high-end tripod, or some other type of stabilization. But for travel setups or like in small spaces, monopods are actually a great choice for most people. And I use them for a lot of my content, including professional stuff. I'm actually shooting on one right now, but I mostly use monopods for weddings because they don't take up much space, they're easy to carry around. But these specific ones, or this specific one by iFootage, has a fluid head on top, which means I'm able to do like pan and tilt shots and stuff and get nice camera movements on the go. But also they have these feet at the bottom, which means I can kind of treat them semi like a tripod. So if I open these feet and obviously extend the monopod, I can then place it on the ground and it should stand up by itself, which means I can actually leave the camera for a few seconds or actually film myself with it, as long as it's not too windy. And also, this is special. I can actually take the feet off if I can manage this. There you go. And then this becomes like a little hi-hat. And if you don't know what a hi-hat is, it means it's a small tripod. So I can use this either for vlogging, just put my camera on top, or take this head off, which I should be able to do here. And I can use this on here and have a very small tabletop kind of tripod setup. That pretty much covers the majority of equipment I take with me when I'm traveling or creating content away from home. However, I do have a couple of extra items I like to carry with me just in case, even though they aren't 100% necessary, depending on the content I'm making. So first of all, let's talk about power. Most of the time when I'm away from home, I just take these small little battery chargers with me. This one is by Power Extra and holds two Sony FZ100s, which are honestly amazing batteries, and each one of these batteries usually gets me like 2-3 hours worth of shooting, and the majority of the time I barely even go through one battery in a day when it's just personal kind of content. But if I'm making longer kind of videos or doing longer shoots, like when I used to do weddings and stuff, I'll usually have about 6 to 8 of these batteries, and that'll last me like an entire day. Next up, let's talk about memory and SD cards, and I have this card case here, which is just some generic SD card case I got off Amazon. It literally is called like GoFriend or something, which is probably some random cheap brand from who knows where. But most of the time I actually don't use these cards, because the way that I manage my memory is in my A7 III I have two 256 gig cards, which usually gets me about 10 hours worth of footage, or like 5 or 6 hours of footage and backup, so it depends what I'm shooting. And also I have another 256 gig card in my A6600, so between the two kind of cameras I can shoot like 10-15 hours worth of content, which is normally more than enough for when I'm traveling. And last but definitely not least, when it comes to these like little extra accessories and stuff, I have this thing here, which is a small like 1 foot tube light, and it is the Aperture MT Pro, which as you can see is RGB, but this thing comes in handy for many different reasons. One, it's great to search for things in the dark when you're actually traveling. Lighting on your face when you're in a situation that isn't exactly ideal for lighting, as well as the fact that this comes in handy also for shooting like B-roll of products and items when you're away. It's not something I use all the time, because more often than not I'll use natural lights when I'm traveling, but it is an absolute lifesaver in those situations where you just do not have enough natural light to get a good looking image. I imagine some of you are asking like, well, how do you capture the footage and stuff while you're away? Well, I don't most of the time. I used to carry a laptop with me. I have like a HP Omen laptop that I used to take with me, but it's old, slow, kind of a bit broken now, so I don't really take it traveling with me anymore. I mostly just take my phone and my Nintendo Switch when I'm traveling, and if I do have like a bunch of footage to capture, which normally I never film my cards. I just wait until I get home and then capture it and edit it when I get back, because honestly, I do like traveling and I do like creating while I travel, but I still want to take a break and want to actually enjoy the experience of being away from home. That's probably something I should change in the future, just in case, especially now that I'm getting more like work and I'm traveling a bit more and I'm doing things, and I don't always want to work in this office on my PC. It'd be nice to actually go to like a coffee shop and do some work and stuff like that, but those things cost a lot of money and I can't afford them and stuff right now. So that's a goal for the future. Anyway, hopefully this video wasn't too waffly for you, because I understand that, well, I had to cover a lot of items and talk about why I used them and how I used them. So I appreciate anyone who made it to the end of this video. Obviously, if you want to hear more about like the specifics in this video, if you want a dedicated video on an item, let me know in the comments down below and I'll try and make that video. I'm going to put links to everything in the description. And if you did make it this far in the video, remember to like the video as well, because it really will help me out with the algorithm gods and stuff and get this video pushed out a little bit more as I try and find my style and footing and figure out what I'm actually doing on YouTube. Anyway, I'm going to go finish this lemsip or whatever it is, and hopefully I'm going to be feeling 100% soon and I can upload some more videos. So I appreciate you all, and I will see you all in the next one.